The world often praises softness, but true wisdom, the kind that empowers you to navigate life's inevitable storms, requires a certain ruthlessness. Not a cruelty towards others, but an unwavering, almost brutal honesty with yourself. It's about stripping away illusions, confronting uncomfortable truths, and building an inner fortress that even the most chaotic external forces cannot breach. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, embodied this dangerous intelligence. He understood that while comfort might be appealing, growth demands discomfort, and true strength comes from acknowledging our vulnerabilities and systematically dismantling them. This isn't about becoming heartless. It's about becoming unshakable, clear-sighted, and powerfully effective in a world designed to distract and disorient you. If you're ready to embrace a wisdom that others might find too sharp, too uncompromising, then you're in the right place. We're not seeking mere knowledge here. We're after a profound shift in perspective, a rewiring of your operating system to make you truly formidable. This journey into Stoic clarity will challenge your preconceived notions, push you to look inward with unflinching courage, and ultimately equip you with tools that are as ancient as they are incredibly relevant today. It's a path for those who refuse to be passive observers in their own lives, for those who hunger for genuine control over their inner landscape. So prepare to shed what no longer serves you, to confront the uncomfortable, and to emerge with a mind sharper and more resilient than you ever thought possible. This isn't just philosophy, it's a manual for mastering your existence. Subscribe so we don't lose each other on this path of Stoic clarity. The first ruthless lesson from Marcus Aurelius is this: stop whining about what you can't control. This sounds simple, almost too obvious, but let's be honest, how much of our daily emotional energy is wasted on things entirely outside our sphere of influence? The weather, other people's opinions, traffic jams, the economy, political events, even our own past mistakes. These are all fertile ground for frustration, anger, and anxiety. Marcus understood that to complain about these external forces is not only pointless, but self-destructive. It's like banging your head against a wall and then getting angry at the wall for hurting you. The truly dangerous intelligence lies in recognizing this fundamental dichotomy of control. You can control your thoughts, your reactions, your efforts, your character, and your attitude. Everything else is a given, a part of the grand cosmic play. When you relentlessly prune away the impulse to fret over the uncontrollable, you free up an astonishing amount of mental bandwidth. Imagine the energy you'd reclaim if you stopped replaying arguments in your head, stopped wishing circumstances were different, or stopped trying to manipulate outcomes that are simply not yours to command. This isn't about apathy, it's about strategic disengagement from fruitless battles. It's about focusing your precious internal resources precisely where they can make a difference. This lesson isn't gentle. It demands a radical shift in perspective, a ruthless cutting off of mental habits that have likely been ingrained for years. But the payoff? A tranquility and effectiveness that most people can only dream of. It's about accepting reality, not as a victim, but as a strategic player who understands the rules of the game and refuses to waste turns on unwinnable fights. This insight alone can transform your daily experience, pulling you from the grip of constant agitation into a state of calm, focused power. You are not defined by what happens to you, but by how you choose to respond, and that choice is always fiercely yours. Now for the second ruthless lesson: your thoughts create your reality, so guard them fiercely. This isn't some New Age platitude. It's a bedrock principle of Stoic wisdom. Marcus Aurelius understood that while we can't always control external events, we absolutely control our interpretation of those events. An annoying colleague isn't inherently annoying. Your judgment makes them so. A challenging project isn't inherently overwhelming. Your thoughts about it make it feel that way. This is where dangerous intelligence truly blossoms. Most people are passive recipients of their own thoughts, letting anxieties, fears, and negative self-talk run rampant through their minds like uninvited guests. The Stoic, however, becomes an active, ruthless gatekeeper. Every thought that tries to enter your inner sanctuary is scrutinized. Is it true? Is it helpful? Does it serve my highest good? If not, it's rejected unceremoniously. This isn't about positive thinking in a superficial sense. It's about cultivating a profound awareness of your inner dialogue and taking absolute responsibility for it. Your inner narrative shapes your emotions, your actions, and ultimately your destiny. If you constantly tell yourself you're not good enough, that things are impossible, or that you're a victim, guess what kind of reality you'll inhabit? A disciplined mind, one that Marcus Aurelius championed, is a powerful weapon. It allows you to reframe setbacks as opportunities, challenges as tests of character, and even insults as mere words, powerless to harm you unless you give them permission. This requires constant vigilance, a relentless inner audit. It means catching yourself when negative patterns emerge and consciously choosing a different thought, a more empowering perspective. This is a daily battle, but it's a battle for your freedom, for your peace of mind, and for your ability to act wisely and effectively in the world. The world around you will always present chaos, but your inner world can remain an unassailable fortress of clarity and purpose if you are ruthless enough to protect it. The third ruthless lesson is brutally simple, yet profoundly difficult for many. Embrace discomfort, for it is your greatest teacher. Our natural inclination is to seek comfort, ease, and pleasure. We avoid pain, struggle, and inconvenience. But Marcus Aurelius, through his own life as an emperor, constantly battling wars, plagues, and betrayals, knew that true growth happens on the edges of our comfort zones. The gym isn't comfortable, but it builds physical strength. Studying a difficult subject isn't easy, but it sharpens the mind. Confronting a challenging conversation isn't pleasant, but it strengthens relationships and character. The dangerously smart individual doesn't just tolerate discomfort, they actively seek it out, viewing it as an opportunity for development. They understand that every time they lean into a difficult situation, every time they push past their perceived limits, they are forging resilience, expanding their capabilities, and becoming more robust. This isn't about masochism, it's about strategic self-improvement. It's about recognizing that the easy path often leads to stagnation, weakness, and a diminished life. Think about it. What truly great achievement has ever come without struggle? None. So instead of shrinking from challenges, view them as training exercises. Practice voluntary discomfort, cold showers, skipping a meal, walking instead of driving, not for punishment, but to demonstrate to yourself that you are not beholden to your desires, that you possess an inner fortitude that can withstand minor inconveniences, and by extension, greater ones. This disciplined approach redefines your relationship with hardship. It transforms obstacles from dreaded burdens into valuable teachers, each one offering a lesson in patience, perseverance, or ingenuity. This is how you build an inner strength that is not easily rattled, a character forged in the fires of experience, making you truly dangerously smart in your ability to adapt and thrive. Lesson number 4 from the Stoic playbook is perhaps the most uncomfortable for our modern, ego-driven society. Remember, you will die, and use that urgency wisely. This isn't meant to be morbid or depressing, quite the opposite. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of his own mortality, not to paralyze him with fear, but to imbue his every action with purpose and urgency. Memento mori, remember death. Most people live as if they have an infinite amount of time, postponing their dreams, tolerating miserable situations, and wasting precious hours on trivialities. The dangerously smart individual, armed with this Stoic insight, understands that time is the most finite and valuable resource. This ruthless awareness cuts through procrastination and indecision like a sharp blade. It forces you to ask, if this were my last day, my last year, my last decade, would I be spending it this way? It clarifies your priorities with startling precision. Suddenly, petty grievances seem insignificant. Fear of failure loses its grip, and the desire to live authentically and meaningfully becomes paramount. This isn't about rushing into things blindly, but about making deliberate choices aligned with your deepest values. It encourages you to seize the day, not in a hedonistic sense, but in a purposeful, intentional way. Have that difficult conversation. Pursue that passion. Forgive that grudge. Express your love. Learn that skill. Because the brutal truth is, you don't know how much time you have. This lesson instills a profound sense of responsibility for your own life, urging you to make the most of every moment, to leave a positive mark, and to live in a way that you won't regret when your time inevitably comes. It's a powerful motivator, stripping away complacency and igniting a fire of urgency to live a life of virtue and impact. The fifth ruthless lesson from Marcus Aurelius is a masterclass in emotional regulation. Don't let emotions drive the bus, you are the driver. We're often told to follow our feelings, but the Stoics understood that unchecked emotions can be tyrannical masters, leading us down paths of regret, irrationality, and suffering. Anger, fear, envy, excessive joy, while natural, if allowed to take the wheel, they can hijack our judgment and propel us into actions we later lament. The dangerously smart individual learns to observe their emotions, acknowledge their presence, but refuse to be enslaved by them. It's like seeing a storm on the horizon. You acknowledge it's coming, but you don't let it dictate your entire journey. Instead, you prepare, you brace, you choose your path deliberately. This requires a ruthless commitment to self-awareness and self-control. When anger flares, instead of lashing out, the Stoic takes a breath, steps back, and asks, "What is truly happening here? Is this emotion serving me? What would a wise person do?" This pause, this deliberate act of creating space between stimulus and response, is where true power lies. It's not about suppressing emotions until they explode. It's about understanding their transient nature and refusing to let them dictate your actions. You are the rational being, capable of reasoned judgment. Your emotions are passengers, sometimes loud and demanding, but they are not the ones who get to steer the vehicle of your life. By mastering this lesson, you gain an incredible advantage. While others are tossed about by the whims of their feelings, you remain steady, clear-headed, and capable of making sound decisions, even in the midst of turmoil. This emotional discipline is a hallmark of truly dangerous intelligence, allowing you to navigate complex human interactions and challenging situations with grace and effectiveness, rather than being swept away by the tide of your own internal storms. Here's the sixth ruthless lesson that separates the truly wise from the merely clever. Seek truth, not comfort, even when it hurts. Most people prefer to live in a bubble of comforting illusions. They surround themselves with opinions that validate their own, avoid information that challenges their worldview, and shy away from self-reflection that might expose their flaws. Marcus Aurelius, however, understood that genuine wisdom demands an unyielding pursuit of truth, no matter how uncomfortable or unflattering it might be. This means ruthlessly questioning your own beliefs, seeking out dissenting opinions, and being willing to admit when you are wrong. It's about having the intellectual humility to say, "I don't know," and the courage to change your mind in the face of new evidence. The dangerously smart individual is not afraid to confront their own biases, their own blind spots, or their own capacity for self-deception. They understand that living in a state of self-imposed ignorance might feel safe, but it ultimately leads to poor decisions and a fragmented understanding of reality. This lesson extends to how you interact with others. Instead of engaging in gossip or superficial pleasantries, the Stoic seeks genuine insight, honest feedback, and profound understanding. They are willing to have difficult conversations, to confront uncomfortable realities, and to cut through the noise to get to the heart of the matter. This commitment to truth, even when it's painful or inconvenient, builds a foundation of intellectual integrity that is incredibly rare and incredibly powerful. It allows you to see the world as it truly is, not as you wish it to be, and this clear-eyed vision is an indispensable tool for navigating life with genuine wisdom and effectiveness. It requires courage to dismantle your own comfortable fictions, but the freedom and clarity it brings are immeasurable. Finally, the seventh ruthless lesson from Marcus Aurelius that makes you dangerously smart. Act with virtue, always regardless of outcome or recognition. In a world obsessed with external validation, status, and material gain, this Stoic principle is profoundly countercultural. Most people base their actions on what they can get, what others will think, or what will bring them immediate pleasure. But Marcus understood that true fulfillment, true inner peace, comes from living in alignment with virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance simply because it is the right thing to do. This is a ruthless commitment to your own character. It means choosing honesty even when lying would be easier, showing kindness even when someone is undeserving, acting with integrity even when no one is watching, and striving for excellence not for applause, but for its own sake. The dangerously smart individual understands that while they cannot control external results, they are always in control of their intentions and their actions. By focusing solely on living virtuously, they become immune to the whims of fortune, success or failure, praise or criticism. These external fluctuations lose their power because their self-worth is rooted in something far more stable, their own unshakable character. This lesson frees you from the exhausting pursuit of external approval and directs your energy towards building an inner empire of virtue. It's a radical inversion of typical priorities, placing internal excellence above all else. This isn't about being a martyr, it's about strategic self-mastery. When your compass is always pointed towards virtue, your decisions become clearer, your conscience remains clean, and your inner peace becomes unassailable. This unwavering commitment to ethical action, independent of reward, is perhaps the most powerful and dangerously smart attribute a human can possess, creating a life of profound meaning and impact.